says the gemorah. So, a quick recap. These kahanim, before Leisa Shachar, they say one of the birchas Kriyashma, they say Kriyashma, they say Aseres Adibros, they say birchas kahanim, and then they go out, right? And then they do the korbanos. And then Mefarshim explain they have to do it beforehand, before Alois, before Nates, because they're worried that they're not going to have time to do everything. They're busy, they're running around doing shechting for hundreds of thousands of people. There's no time. So they say one bracha. So now he said, he was medayik, Reb Yosef Bar Yosef was medayik, that doesn't say beferish, but from a generalization we can understand that which bracha did they make? They made Yitzhar. Okay, so it says the gemorah. Who cares if we're learning it from a generalization or we're learning it says clearly? Who cares? So Agman says, if it's only learned out from this kalal, from a general appearance, so you could say, really, they didn't say Yitzhar. We could say they actually said Avarabba. And then when light came, then they said later on Yitzhar. So then you can't learn out from this that the brachas are ma'akev, because they had to say both. They said Avarabba when it got light, and then they said later Yitzhar. So what does it mean? The bracha say makvus? My bracha say makvus, zu. Say the ha-brachas. The order that you say the brachas, that isn't ma'akev. So they said first avarabba, and then when it got light, they said yitzhar. That's what you would understand from here. So, halacha l'maisa, l'chayr we paskin that, the Rishonim saying that this is just a dichui, he's just being deicha, the shaila, but really, he agrees originally that his original pshat, that it's mechlala and that they said yitzhar. And that ein brachas makav, you can say one without the other. Not the order of the brachas doesn't matter. You can even say one without the other. Says the gemorah. Okay. They read the Ten Commandments. Shema, they said Shema. They said the whole of Parashat Kriyashma. Emes v'yatziv avoda or brichas kahanim. Omer Yehuda Omer Shmuel, af bigvulin bikshu likres kain. Even outside the Beis Hamikdash, they wanted to say Aseres Adibros. They were cancelled. They were not allowed to say. We're not allowed to say the Ten Commandments every day because the minim, the apikarsim, the people who don't believe in the Torah, which they've had for thousands of years, they said, "Oh, only Aseres Adibros is the real Torah." Look, they're saying only Aseres Adibros. That's the real Torah. Everything else in the Chumash, everything else is that's not real Torah. So don't say Aseres Adibros every day. Tanya Nami Hachi. They wanted to say Aseres Adibros. They said you're not allowed to say Aseres Adibros on a daily basis, the Ten Commandments, because the minimum are going to come along and say that Pikorsim, the ones that don't believe in Torah should be chtav, Torah should be pad, they're going to say, oh.
So the minyan would be the type of people to participate in a minyan?
No. No. The minimum of the guys that aren't. They don't believe in a minyan. That's their bonding. Because we don't want to give them, we don't,
they're not there.
They're not there, but we don't, what's the word? We don't give them credit. We don't help them out in their cause. We try and minimize how many minyan they're going to be. They're Jews. They're making a big mistake. They're saying, oh look, they're saying every day the Ten Commandments. That's the real Torah. And even you see nowadays that, I'm not sure why, but you see nowadays a lot of the non-Jews out there, they think the Ten Commandments, those are the commandments you have to keep. And the rest of the Torah you don't have to keep for some reason. First of all, they don't have to keep any of the Torah. They're only going to keep 7 mitzvahs, not 10 commandments. 7 mitzvahs b'nei noyach. But for some reason, they think there's extra power, extra reason to keep the 10 Commandments. There isn't. So why did Hashem give the 10 Commandments? What is special about the 10 Commandments? So the Rishonim explained that the 10 Commandments, well, first of all, half of it is between man and man, other half is between man and God. And from those 10 Commandments comes all of the other mitzvahs. Those are the sheirish, the roots of all the other mitzvahs. Doesn't mean they're more important, but any other mitzvah we can learn from one of those 10 Commandments. It's either Zechel, it's Chaim, it's this, whatever it is, right? Says the gemorah. That's one of the reasons. Obviously, there's many other reasons. I'm not going to get into it. Says the gemorah. So they cancelled saying because of the minim, you can't say Aseres Dibus. Ameimar Saval Mikvin Ben Ardai. Ameimar tried to institute saying Aseres Dibus every day in Ardai. Can't do it. Nothing doing. They already said people already tried to say Aseres Dibus every day. People want to say the 10 Commandments every day, and the Chazal already said don't say 10 Commandments every day. People are going to make this error that only the 10 Commandments is the real Torah, everything else is, that was all fake, that was all afterwards. Okay, Shabbos, says the Gemara, Shabbos, Meisifin, Bracha, Achas. On Shabbos you add one extra bracha. What do they say? Lemishma Yetza. My bracha, Achas. What's this extra blessing that they gave? Amr Chelbai. Mishma Yetza, Lemishma Nichnas. The Kohanim that were leaving the Beis HaMikdash, they say to the Kohanim that in the Beis HaMikdash, Misha Shachat Shmei B'Bais Hazeh, the mighty one who rests his name, he put a Shechina in his house, he graced his presence in this space. Yishkan B'nechem Ava V'Achva V'Shalai V'Reis. He should put amongst you guys love, brotherliness, peace, and friendship. I get you. Why do they have to give him this bracha? I guess it's very stressful. People complain they're doing avodas Beis HaMikdash. They get into fights. It's very, I was there first. There's stories about Kohanim stabbing each other to get the avodah. So they gave him this bracha that they should have shalom. That was another thing they said. Says the Gemara, Malkam Sh'amur Laharich. The Gemara said you can't be Mekatzer. Malkam Sh'amur Laharich. Pshita. Of course you can't go ahead and make it shorter. Okay, says the Gemara. Heiche de Nokat Kasa de Chamra. This guy is holding a cup of wine. Biyode, in his hand. The Kasava de Shachru. And he thinks he's holding beer. Okay? It's a complicated case. The guy's holding a cup of wine. He thinks it's beer. Happens all the time. Especially when you're drunk, right? So he thinks he's holding beer. So he starts making a bracha for beer. What's the bracha for beer? You say, Shakol Nia B'dvar. But then he realized, hey, this is not beer. I don't see any bubbles. This is wine. The siyam b'dechamra. So in the middle of the bracha, he's about to say, Shakol Nia B'dvar. He says, Bar Piagofen, to drink the grape juice, right? To drink the wine. What's it then? Is he yetzer or not? He started off with the wrong bracha. He started saying Baruch Hashem. He thinks he's going to say Shakol, but then in the last second he changed his mind and said, "Oh, it's wine." Bar Bagofen drinks. Can he drink the wine or not? Says the Gemara, Yotza. Yotza, that's good. Dinami. You know why Yotza? I'll tell you why. Dinami Mama Shakol Nebedvar Yotza. Even if we would have carried on and said Shakol, if he wouldn't have realized it's wine, he would have said Shakol Nebedvar, thinking it's beer. Slug down and then gone, wow, this is wine. You know what? The din is Yetza. Shakol is mighty everything. Dahatnan al kula mimama shakol niyabedvara yatza. Anything you want to eat, you don't know the bracha. You said Shakol, yatza b'diavad. Lechatchila, you should pick the right bracha. But b'diavad, you got it wrong. You don't know the bracha. Shakol's mighty. So since when he started saying Baruch Hashem again in Melech Haolam, he had in mind something that's going to be mighty. He didn't. Shakol would be mighty. Then even though he changed afterwards, but that doesn't deteriorate. At the beginning it would have been Yaitza, at the end is Yaitza. So what's the kasha? So what's going to be the query over here? He's holding a cup of beer because of the chamer, and he thinks it's wine. He starts making a bracha. He's going to say Boire Piagofen, and then he realizes, it's beer. He changes to Shakol, the siyam b'shichra, and then he says, Shakol nebedvari. Is he Yaitza or not? So then when he starts off the bracha, he thinks he's making a Boire Piagofen, and that's not going to be paita wine. That's not going to pata beer. You can't say Boire Piagofen on beer. It's the wrong bracha. Boire Piagofen doesn't pata all drinks. So my basa ikabracha azlinan, my basa chasima azlinan. What do? Do we look at the main part of the bracha, the Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam? He's about to say Boire Piagofen. Do you look at that part and he got it wrong? Or do you look at, he said Shakol Nebedvar. He's like, it's Shakol. He says Shakol, he drinks the bit. Which part do you look at? The first, the Ikka, or just the Chasima? So we're going to try and prove it from something else. Toshma. Shachris, Pasach B'Yetza V'Sim B'Mayar V'Aravim, Lo Yatza. In the morning, right? He starts off saying the wrong bracha. He starts off saying, the right bracha, Yetza'ar. He starts off saying the brachas now before Krishma. He starts saying of Shachris, but he ends up saying the bracha of the nighttime. I guess in the middle he got confused. He says the Mayar V'Aravim. What's it? Din Lo Yatza. But the Pasach of Mayar V'Aravim, if you start off saying the wrong thing, the Sim B'Yetza'ar, he ends up saying the right. Oh, Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar, Mayros. So then you are Yetzah. Sim B'Yetza'ar Yetzah. And the other way around. In Arvis, in nighttime. Pasach b'Mayar V'Aravim, Lo Yetzah. If you started off right, you ended wrong, you're not Yetzah. But Pasach b'Yetza'ar, the Sim B'Mayar V'Aravim, if you started wrong and you ended right, you are Yetzah. So klal shel davar, what's the general principle? The general principle is hakail haylech acha hachosam hachitum. Everything goes to the end. If the end was good, you're good. The end was bad, no good, right? Hakol haylech acha hachitum. So therefore, in our case with the wine, what should be the din? If he starts off thinking it's wine, but as long as he said shakol just before then you can drink the beer. If you caught yourself right at the end, doesn't matter what you thought at the beginning. As long as you caught yourself, you're good. That's what the gemorah wants to say. You always look at the end. The gemorah says, no, you can't bring a raya from Shachris, from Yetza'ar, or Mayar V'Aravim. That's not a good raya. Why? That's not a good raya. Because Shani Hasam, the Ka'amar Baruch Yetza'ar Mayrais. At the end of the bracha, you didn't just say Yetza'ar Mayrais. Since you say the very end, Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros, so you did the whole bracha. That's the whole bracha. That Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros. You say at the end of the first bracha, so that's enough. Since you got the Baruch Hashem in with the right kavanah, Yetzah. But here with the wine, you never said Baruch Hashem with the right kavanah. There you got the wrong kavanah. You thought it was wine, and it ended up being shakal. So the question is, when you said Baruch Yetza'ar Mayros, there you got a good bracha in. Just that three words, Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros, you got in a good bracha. Forget about the whole thing you said beforehand. The whole Kodesh. Okay, there you got that all wrong. But as long as you said at the end, Baruch Hashem, Mayar V'Aravim, so you got a bracha in. But with the shakol, you didn't get a bracha in. You blew the whole thing. It's interesting. So you see that the main part of the bracha is the fact. The mashmais of gemorah is, as long as you said Baruch with the right kavanah, you're good. I think the place going to say the main thing is that it doesn't say it here, but the main thing is that you got the Shem Hashem. When you said the Shem Hashem, Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros, it means he's being mekatza, but it means you said the Shem Hashem, you knew what you're saying a bracha for. That's how the place can say. But the pashas in the gemorah is that you have to have the right kavanah when you say Baruch. So the Gemara asks, okay, askas Hashem in a bracha. So shape. Rav says you need to have Shem Hashem in a bracha. And if there's no Shem Hashem, it's not a bracha. So here he said Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros, it's a bracha, right? So then you got a kasha from Yetza'ar Mayros. Because he said Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros, right? You got it, you got a bracha. El Rabbi Yochanan, the Amar Kol Bracha She'en Bo Malchus Ein a Bracha, Michael Meima. According to Rabbi Yochanan says every time you say bracha, you have to mention the fact that Hashem is the king. It's not enough to say thank you Hashem, you're the Elokeinu. You have to say Melech Olam. You don't say Melech Olam, it's not a bracha. So when this guy says Baruch Hashem Yetza'ar Mayros, that's not a bracha. You didn't say Melech Olam. You don't say before Krishma Baruch Hashem became Melech Olam. There's no bracha there. So Ella Kivin the Amar Rabba Ba'ula. Since we have this memo we mentioned yesterday of Rabba Ba'ula that says, since as an inyan, at night you mention the day, and the day you mention the night, so Malchus Mikara at the beginning of the bracha, since you said Yetzar, or you said Mayar V'Aravim, you're Yetzah. They're not going to stop calling me. 1 second. Let me pause this. No. Okay, we'll carry on. Sorry about that. Toshma. Toshma Miseifa. Let's learn out from the end of the Mishnah, end of this brisa. Everything goes according to the end, right? What's this coming to include? Whenever it says the general rule is always coming to include something else, right? Isn't it coming to include what we just spoke about? I.e., all that stuff, or wine, grape juice. It's coming to include the case of bread and dates. Okay, so what happens with bread and dates? Yeah, I know these people aren't stop calling. I should have turned off my thing. So it's coming to include bread. Hey Chidami, what's the case? It's talking about cases already eaten, right? He ate bread, and he thought it was dates. Achol nama, he ate bread, because of the tamri achol, he thought he ate dates. I don't know how it tastes the same thing. Upasach died the tamri, so he thought he ate dates. He starts saying a bracha chroina main shalish. He starts saying ala eitz, al priya eitz. He thought he ate dates, right? And then in the middle, he's like, hold on, it was bread, it wasn't dates. I've got to do brachas hamazon. The sim bin nahama, so he ends up saying brachas hamazon. So what's it in? Hainu bayon. I'm not sure you pronounce this word. Hainu bayon. That's our original kasha. It's the same kasha. You started off doing why? Because you in the end you got the right bracha. So light shricha, no. So we need it for a different case. What's the extra din? It's coming to teach me a different case. Kugain da'achal tamri. He's eating dates for kasavad nahama, and he thought it's bread. So, just by the way, I'll throw in there. Okay, we'll keep going. Sorry. He eats dates because of an arm. He thinks it's bread. So what happens? He starts saying berchas hamazon, right? This guy starts saying berchas hamazon. He thought he ate bread. Then he's like, wait, no, it wasn't bread. I have to say bracha mein shalish. V'sim b'tamri. So he ends up saying bracha mein shalish. Dafilu sim b'nahama yotza. Why? Why is he yotza? That you read the brackets. So yotza. Dafilu sim b'nahama. Even if you would have carried on and said the whole brachas hamazon on dates, if you would have benched on dates, what's it in? Nami yotza. So that's like our question. If a guy says shakol on grape juice is yatsa, so here also, if this guy would have benched, if would have said the whole birchas hamazon on grapes or on dates, yatsa, because that's also, Rashi says, that's also amazing. You say birchas hamazon is hazana sa'ilam, it's amazing you. So yatsa. You don't bench on grapes, you don't bench on dates like lechatchila because you're not kaveh sud on it. But if you would have benched on it, you would be yaitza. Therefore, if you started berchas hamazon and then he ends up changing to bracha mein shalish, he's yaitza. Because he would have been yaitza even if he would have benched the whole thing. My taimak, the tamri, nami, mezin zaini. Since dates also mezin you, they sustain you, you can live off dates. I guess that's what it means. It's sustainable, it's satiating. I'm not sure exactly what so therefore you can also bench on dates. Okay. Just take a look at Taisus Loila Si Nahama. There's a very important Taisus over here. Since we're running short on time, just skip down to where it says, 5 lines down in Taisus Loi. So Taisus Loi says, if you made a mistake and you said the wrong bracha, you're allowed to go say you're allowed to change your mind in the middle, at the end. After you said the wrong bracha, you're allowed to change it. Massive chiddush, right? Our gemorah is discussing, you didn't even say the wrong one. The gemorah has a shaila if you can change your mind in the middle, right? Taisus Rebbeinu Tam says, even if you said the wrong one, within Teichid Dibba, which is like 3 seconds, the time it says, say, Shalom Lecha Rebbe Meiri, Chazal said you got another 3 seconds to change it. Massive Chiddush Rebbeinu Tam. Unbelievable. You got Teichid Dibba to change your bracha. Now, again, says Rebbeinu Tam, you said B'vadai. Haya Rebbeinu Tam, Im Yedeh B'vir Shetob B'dvav B'ay Priya Eitz, Tachas B'ay Priya Gefen, then you can change your mind. V'chein b'yontav v'chasim shal yontav v'mitar bein Mekadesh Yisrael v'zmanim or Mekadesh Shabbos. Let's say you're davening Shmoneh Esrei on Shabbos, and instead of saying Mekadesh Yisrael v'zmanim, you say Mekadesh Shabbos. So Teichid Dibba, you can change it. You're allowed to change the chasima. So it's a massive chiddush, just Rebbeinu Tam. Our gemorah is asking, can you even change the bracha before you finished? You didn't say yet, Shakol, can you change the B'ay Gofen? And the gemorah says, yeah, because the yaitz either way. You would have been yaitz without one, you carry with this. Rebbeinu Tam says, guess what? Teichid Dibba, you could change it, even after you said it. V'cheinoigen, right? That's halacha. Once you said it, bracha, you can still Teichid Dibba, you can change it. V'ikshab Yaakov Mekinon. I don't know where Kinon is. You have any idea where's Kinon? I don't know. Says Yaakov Mekinon, my kaboile, v'vadai mitzvah netzvicha kavana. Ask Rabbi Yaakov a massive kasha here. We paskin the mitzvahs don't need kavana. You don't have to have intention. You have to have thoughts when you do a mitzvah, right? So who cares if the guy was thinking the wrong thing? You're thinking grape juice. You're thinking this. He said the words. Baruch atah Hashem l'gei melech haolam. Mitzvahs ein tzrichas kavana. So why am I not yaitza? Why? What's the gemorah's have a minute? I can't change. I can't change the bracha. I said it good. I said the perfect words. Words were 100% perfect. What was my problem? My intentions were wrong. But we paskin the mitzvahs ein tzrichas kavana. You don't need to have kavana when you're doing a mitzvah. You don't need to have intention at all. You can say, B'ach Hashem l'kein melech haolam, you're thinking about the football game, you're yaitza. You can't make another bracha. Halacha l'maisa. You're thinking about the football, you said, B'ach Hashem. Can you make another bracha now? No, you're yaitza. It's a bracha v'tala, right? You don't need to have kavanah b'chlal. So why is it worse if I thought making grape juice than I'm making, what's it called, shakol? How does that detract? So the Ri answered him. Let's say you hear davening behind shul, you heard them blowing shofar, you want mischaven or whatever. Shofar is the right, so you need to, but it's not tefillah. But let's say you heard them saying, I don't know what. You're standing around, you heard a tefillah, so even without kavanah, right? If you have no kavanah, but if you had the wrong kavanah, that's bad. That won't help you. You're not yaitza. Unbelievable chiddush, no? So it turns out that it's better to have no kavanah than to have wrong kavanah. You see, it's a massive chiddush. You've got to say something like that. I don't see any other pshat in the Rishonim. What else are you going to say? Why should having the wrong kavanah be worse than no kavanah b'chal? I mean, there's a whole shayla. What does it mean, mitzvah svichas kavanah? So in Pashtus, what does mitzvah svichas kavanah mean? You shake lulav. You have to have kavanah to be makayim the mitzvah lulav. Or let's say you shake lulav, you don't think you're doing a mitzvah. You're shaking lulav. You forgot to think, I'm being mechava, lots of today, mitzvah yeshivs sukkah. I want to sit in the sukkah. I want to shake lulav. You just put on tefillin, you're not thinking why you're doing it. I remember a guy told me he knows someone that on sukkahs, he walks out with the lulav, and every guy he sees who looks like he's a religious, he gives it to him just to hold. He should do the mitzvah, right? And he eats even without kavanah. We paskin, by the way, that it's a machlokes that we say by doraisas. I think the Mishnah Berurah says, lefi the Radvaz, he does like a pshara. Mitzvahs doraisa, biblical mitzvahs, you have to have kavanah when you do. There are bottom mitzvahs, you don't have to have kavanah when you do. Or is it the other way around? No, I think that's how it goes, right? So mitzvahs ein tzrichas kavanah, that way around? I'm getting thumbs up. Okay, so mitzvahs doraisa, I think he says, I haven't seen this in a long time. Mitzvahs doraisa, you have to have kavanah. You shake lulav, you have to have kavanah. You sit in the sukkah, you have to have kavanah. If you say Krishma, whatever it is, you have to have kavanah to do a mitzvah. You're benching, you have to have intention. I'm about to praise Hashem. I'm about to do the mitzvah, right? It's a mitzvah d'oraisa. Mitzvah d'arbanon, you said, Brachat Hashem shloas ani goy, shloas ani yovel. You don't have to have kavanah to be mekayim the mitzvah d'arbanon to do the mitzvah. As long as you did it, you're good. So mitzvah shvichas kavana is about having intention to do the mitzvah. It's not talking about whether you have to have kavana, what's coming out of your mouth. It's not talking about whether you have to understand what you're saying. It's kavana that I'm doing this act intentionally, as opposed to thinking about what the words mean. So, very nafkamina lachal maisa is shmona esrei. You have to have, they asked us by shmona esrei that in the first three brachas of shmona, the first bracha, brachas avos, you have to have kavana, pirish hamilim. They ask, you know, you have to know what every word means in the first bracha, or you're not yet to b'chal shmona esrei. So, b'pashas, if you're spacing out in the first bracha, halacha not l'maisa is, you daven again. If you didn't think the words gemorah chasadim tovim, you were thinking about something else, you're not yet to shmona esrei. The first avos, the first bracha, daven again. Daven again. Afterwards, the rest of shmona esrei, you don't have to daven again. The first bracha, you have to be mechavan every single word that you're not yetzer. Mishnah says you're not going to forget. You're not going to remember the second time. It's not going to help you, right? So you're going to keep davening all day, and it's all going to be bracha levatalas because you're never going to have intention. So just try very hard to be mechavan the first time round, what every word means. But the question is that, like, we hold mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana. You're right. Mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana. But Pirush HaMilim is not necessarily kavana. I think that's what they explain over there. I didn't see them discussing it over here. But that's what it means. Yeah, kavana does, mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana, but you have to know what you're saying. And there's a famous Reb Chaim Mibrisk, that says, even though you don't need to know what the words mean when you're davening, but you have to realize you're standing before God. And if you don't, then that's not called davening. If you just think you're standing, you're just standing there spacing out, you're saying the words, but you're not thinking about it at all, you're not davening b'chol. You don't need kavana pirush milim, says Reb Chaim, but you have to at least know that you're davening, you have to know you're praying, you have to realize that you're standing before God. That's called prayer. Otherwise, you're just standing there, you're standing around saying a bunch of words, you're not thinking what it means, you're not yet saying anything. So that's this very interesting sugya of mitzvah shvichas kavana. Have a